Hey guys, I want to talk about our tomatoes. Now, everybody loves our tomato sauce and everybody thinks that there's some big secret sauce recipe. The truth is that 99% of a great sauce is just finding the perfect tomato. Most people in the country, most pizzerias around the country use tomatoes that are grown in California, and there are these round tomatoes. They're very sweet. They're too sweet. They just don't taste right, to be honest with you. We use these plum tomatoes, and you can see they're not the round kind. They're shaped like this, and they come from Italy. There's a big deal made in the industry about tomatoes that are grown in the San Marzano Valley in Italy. And actually, we've sampled a lot. Not every San Marzano tomato is great, but the best ones we have are usually San Marzano tomatoes. The suppliers play a lot of games with tomatoes. They're constantly changing labels. They're changing brand names. You can actually tell almost as much by looking at the code, the stamp on the top of the tomato, which tells you what factory it was processed in. Probably that tells you more than even the label. So because they are playing sort of roulette with these, we have to continuously sample tomatoes. Sometimes the supplier will come to you and say, oh, yeah, it's a different label, but it's the same tomato. And sometimes they're right, and sometimes they're not right. So the bottom line is you have to continuously taste and sample tomatoes, and you're just looking for a certain sweetness, a certain freshness to it, not the sickly sweet taste that you get from the California tomatoes, not the acidic taste that you get from a lower quality tomatoes, but just this sort of perfectly balanced, pleasant sweetness. I know I can't really impart that to you on video. It's just something that's going to take practice to learn how to do. But it is very, very important that you continuously test and challenge your own suppliers, because you're never going to receive the same batch. Even if it's the same brand the next year, the next season, it's a seasonal product like any other product. They're all packed at the same time of year, September, August. They're packed. They pack for the entire year, and one grower may have had a different quality one year than he does the next. So you really have to just test and sample. That's all I can say about it. Processing the tomatoes is pretty easy. All we do is we just put them in a Cambro here. Now, just to keep it from splashing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the lid down, and I'm going to turn the can upside down, and then I sort of gradually let it open. That way it doesn't splash all over my nice white coat. Let's do that here. You can fit about 3 cans in one of these containers. You can see that I have miraculously kept my coat white. Okay, just going to rinse. Okay, I'm going to take my immersion blender and I'm going to stick it in the tomatoes. Now, I don't want to have it be so high up that air gets incorporated. If air gets into the tomato, they're going to go bad faster, and it's actually going to change the flavor slightly and the color. You'll see when that happens, and it might happen occasionally. You'll see what happens. It gets much lighter color and looks foamy. So you want to make sure it's in, but you don't want it to be all the way to the bottom, because then it won't get to all the tomatoes. It's actually going to have a pull to it. It's going to sort of pull you to the bottom a little bit anyway. So you just want to sort of hold it steady as you can. It has a little safety on it, which means you have to use 2 hands to get it going. You have to press it, press the top, and then pull this trigger at the same time. That's to make sure that my hand is not in the blade. So here I go. Now I can let go of the safety, and I can just sort of move this around, but it's actually going to pull the tomatoes in by itself. Most of them will get pulled in. You can see I'm not really moving it much around. And that's about it. We don't want it to be a super fine puree. You can see it actually pulled in and got all the tomatoes. Let me grab a spoon here a second. Grab the slotted spoon here. You can see that all the big pieces of tomato are gone, and yet it still has a little bit of texture to it. You don't want it to be a totally smooth puree. Very fast and simple. There's one other thing I want to mention about the tomatoes, and that is that we try to never refrigerate the tomatoes. Once the tomatoes drop below a certain temperature, there's a chemical change in them that's irreversible. There's a flavor component of that changes. So once tomatoes are refrigerated, they never taste as good as they are when they were room temperature the whole time. So we have a 4-hour window. Legally, according to the health department, we have a 4-hour window between the time we take them out of the can, blend them, and serve them, where they don't have to be refrigerated in that window. So we don't want to over blend the tomatoes. We don't want to blend, a day's worth of tomatoes. We have to constantly be blending small batches, especially at the end of the day. You might have to do just 1 can at a time because you don't want to have it refrigerated overnight. So just be careful, get yourself into a rotation, and be aware that you're going to be blending tomatoes throughout the day.